Hawaii Blues fan. We're bleeding blue with you. Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues!
Presented by Scott Credit Union, your St. Louis Blues.
Your BlueNote Fan Report. Aloha and mahalo. I am Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan. Tammy, I apologize that you think it was disrespectful. In my eyes, the Blues shot themselves in the foot. I'm a veteran. I respect taps. I respect the 21-gun salute. And I played this because that's how I feel losing my boy today. Oh, I forgot to send our boy, please don't take it the wrong way. I think it was the right way to start the show. What happened today was an absolute death to St. Louis hockey. It was an absolute death to St. Louis hockey. There's no other way to explain it. You don't do what happened here. You don't do what happened here unless you're trying to kill something, right? There's nothing else it's really, look, Tammy, understand. It's not in jest that I do this. I think that St. Louis hockey, a part of it died today. The way this trade happened, the thing that happened in this trade, what we got rid. I keep hearing, what, should we let him walk for nothing? We got him. We traded him for almost next to nothing. We traded him for almost next to nothing. That's the point. I don't think people realize that, right? I don't know what to say. Tammy, I apologize to you, but I still think it was the right thing to do. Did you see it there?
Yeah, I saw it.
Right?
So,
thank you, New York Rangers fan. I'd appreciate that. I absolutely want a Tarasenko. Look at what's behind me. Right? I'm going to take you out of the picture for a second, okay? You okay for a second?
Yeah, that's fine.
Right? Just so they can see what's behind me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That one's signed. I have 7 Tarasenko jerseys, and I'll get more. Right? I'll get more. Nathan says Wendy's got to be loving this. Nice name. No, I have. Someone sent me the interview. We will play it here very shortly. Is the extra first rounder nobody? Well, I don't think it is. I think that first round pick is a joke, and I can prove it. That pick most likely is going to be either 29, 30, 31, or 32. That's where I think that pick's going to be.
The thing is, you know how the Stars can be when it comes to playoffs, but the fact is they have a head coach who, in their first year coaching a new team, tends to make it to the Cup final. The Rangers, on the other hand, are a team that I could see flame out in the first round because the East is so deep.
Get the worst of the picks. I could see there's a good chance they could both make the Final Four.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a good chance they could both make the Final Four. That means that pick is somewhere between 29, 30, 31, and 32.
Yeah.
And anybody, I want to know this. I want to see if you can remember this. The Blues picked very recently, in the last 10 years, at number 31, which at the time was the last pick in the draft. Can anybody tell me who they got? I know. Can anybody tell me who they got? No, we're not. We're not even getting close to Bedard.
You guys may be in the tank offs, but you're not close to.
No, we're not even
in the Bedard.
Yeah. It would be a miracle. Matt Lowe got it. Costin. We got Costin. Now, do you remember how Costin was touted? What he was touted as when we got him in that position? He was the number one European skater. Number one ranked European skater. What good did Costin do in St. Louis? Absolutely nothing. He's been a bust. For being a first-round pick, Costin is nothing but a bust. Go back, and Wendy, you're probably better at this than I am. I bet you can go back and look at the last you can't count 22 and 21 because there's too recent. But go from 2020 back 5 years, look at the last 4 picks, and tell me how many of those guys are worth the shit or are proving that they were worth that spot.
At the 31st pick?
At 20, at 31, 30, 29, and 28.
Okay, well, at 2019, you had Ryan Suzuki for the Hurricanes at number 28.
Okay.
Braden Tracy to the Ducks at 29. The Bruins took John Beecher, who's actually a okay prospect. He hasn't made it to the NHL quite
2019 now, 5 years ago.
And let me pull up the year prior.
No, who was you missed one. You only named me 3. Should have been 4 that year.
Yeah, hang on. The elite prospect kind of slow, crapped out. Ryan Johnson at 31st. He's a defenseman to Buffalo.
And who did he go to? He went to Pittsburgh, right?
Ryan Johnson?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, no. He should have. He went to Buffalo, right? That should have been Buffalo's pick.
Yeah, that was in 2019. Ryan Johnson has not made it to the NHL yet, but he's still a defenseman, and a defenseman sometimes develops slower.
Dan, you got to listen to what we're going at here. It's not Vladimir's production, what we lost. This is what everything forgets. You lost every amount of production that he could produce in the next 32 games is gone. You lost that. You need to compare what you lost, his possible production, against this trade. I would take his production over this trade any freaking day. Any day. Especially the $3.8 million we got to retain. That's what I think. Everyone goes, you lose him for nothing. No, you don't. You lose his production. That's what you get. That's what you get when you keep him. Now, we just went through 2019. Go to 2020. Go to 2020.
I have 2018's, which is an interesting one.
Okay, 2018.
2018 at 27th overall, the Hawks drafted Nick Beaudin, who's a bust. Didn't develop well. He's now with Montreal. At 28, the Rangers selected Nils Lundqvist, who's now with the Stars, who was traded for that first-round pick that could be either yours.
Okay, but that name doesn't sound familiar. It doesn't sound like he's
No, he's a good defenseman. He is. He's played. He played last year with the Rangers, and he's played quite a bit with the Stars this year.
Okay.
29, Rasmus Sandin. Good defensive player. At 30, Detroit drafted Joe Veleno, who's had injury issues but's played well. And 31st, Washington selected Alex, basically. And he's a good player.
Well, so you're looking at, so we've already looked at 3 years, and you've got 2 good players out of those 3 years.
And that in 2018, you had some good players: Joe Valeno, Alex, Nils Lundqvist.
Do you have players? Have
Sandin.
any of the players that we've talked about equal Tarasenko?
No, because those are
you're looking at something 4 to 5 years down the road with these guys. That's why this is a absolute crap trade. We gave up Tarasenko and Mikkola for nothing in return. Nothing.
Are you wanting the 2020 draft now?
Yeah, 2022.
Okay, let me pull it up.
No, Dan, his production does mean something. It does mean something, and they could have won. The problem here is we got rid of the wrong person. We didn't get rid of the problem. The problem still exists. That's the issue. Everyone thinks we got rid of the problem. No, we didn't. The problem still exists. The problem with the Blues absolutely still exists and isn't going anywhere. And for the next 2 years, 2.5 years, that problem isn't going anywhere. And all this young talent that he don't play and he puts in the doghouse is going nowhere. This is an absolute, and then to think, Blaze, oh my God.
Sammy Blaze
has, what is it, 5, 6, I think 11 points in 2 years. Blaze's career does not equal one of Vladdy's seasons since his second year. His second year, he had 1 less point than Blaze has in a career.
I'm honestly surprised you guys brought back Sammy Blaze. The guy sucks.
Yeah, Army didn't want to trade him, but if the Rangers was the best you could get with Tarasenko at the time, I would rather have Tarasenko in his production.
The thing
his
is,
leadership, what he means to the team.
St. Louis,
you are keeping the problem,
guy.
Yes.
St. Louis just admit it. St. Louis is officially a rebuilding team.
And they shouldn't be. That's the problem. That's the thing that everybody doesn't understand. This is the same effing team that just missed going to the second round or the third round last year.
That doesn't
just
mean
missed the Western Conference Finals.
Teams fall apart a year after, usually pretty quick after a good
Not when
season.
you lose 2 players. Not when you lose 2 players. And
The
one of them was a
Blackhawks had
freaking
that
backup
issue
goalie that did nothing in the playoffs.
Hey, the Blackhawks were the top of the Western Conference in 2017. What happened the next year? They missed the playoffs. They lost.
They weren't the top. They weren't the top of the conference in 17.
Yeah, they did. They won the conference in regular season play.
In 17.
Yes, they were the first seed.
Because I thought we played. Okay, maybe they. I know they won the division. I didn't know they won the conference.
Yeah, the Hawks were the first seed.
Because they got swept by Nashville.
Yeah, who was an
right? Well, that right there shows you that they were falling apart, anyways.
No, it wasn't. It was the fact the Hawks actually had a deep team. When it came into the playoffs, they fell apart. Then they went in to they traded out 2 players, and Artemi Panarin and Nicholas Jarmerson, and the team completely fell apart going into the next season.
Okay, hey, let's look at something here, Tommy. You're blaming Armstrong for Petro and Perron leaving. I'm not. I'm blaming Berube, because you need to understand something. Those guys went to other teams for basically the same deal they could have gotten in St. Louis. Basically the same deal. They didn't get that much more. It wasn't as if they got significantly more in the other deals. They didn't. They got very little more. You have to understand. I think the issue with Berube showed up in the bubble and hasn't left. The signs are there. Petro, Perron, there's been Thomas, things he said, things Tarasenko has said. But Ruby is the problem, and we made a mistake by re-signing him. I'm sorry, it's great. He won us the cup. But coaches like that don't last. This is a copycat league. Why did nobody copycat the Blues? Because the thing doesn't work. It doesn't work over and over and over again. That's why nobody copycatted the Blues. That's why everybody copycatted Tampa Bay. That got swept the season the Blues won the cup. That everybody copycatted them. Why? Because that system works, and it's showing that it works. The last three teams, Tampa Bay twice and Colorado last year, are that type of team. That's what they copycatted. Tell me why nobody copycatted the Blues. Am I right or wrong?
Their gameplay was not sustainable.
Right? Well, you might not be, Ashley, but I am, and you're welcome to join us if you want to. Well, it's not a good trade for both sides. We got nothing. Blaze is nothing. Skinner, is that what it is? Skinner, right? The defensive prospect?
I never even heard of the guy.
He's playing in the ECHL after being drafted in the 4th round of 2019. 21 years old. He's still playing in the ECHL, not the AHL, which the Rangers have an affiliate. He's not even good enough for the AHL. Then you're going to get a very low 1st-round pick and a very low 3rd-round pick. 3rd round, guys that play 100 games or more, less than 25%. Everyone calls this a deep draft. You know what? Last year, everyone said that was a deep draft. And then the day before the draft, they said, oh, this is kind of a weak draft. I don't believe that this draft is as deep as everybody thinks it is. And actually, I think Bedard is going to be an absolute bust for whatever team gets him. Absolute bust, because Bedard's going to have nobody around him. No support.
I can disagree on that statement because the way Bedard's play style, it works in the NHL today.
Say again?
Connor Bedard's play style works in today's NHL. He has the speed, he has the skill, he makes any player around him 10 times better.
Dan, you need to understand you weren't going to get nothing. You were going to get Vladimir Tarasenko for the next 32 games, and whatever production, leadership, and all of that he brings to the ice every night, that's what you were getting. You've lost that. What you got in return doesn't replace that in my eyes. Doesn't even come close to replacing that. Skinner in the ECHL at 21. Skinner's never making the NHL. Right? I'm missing all. Oh, wow. You guys are nailing me with comments. I can't even catch up. But it does mean, it means everything, because why do you say it was a not? We had a chance at the playoffs prior to this trade. Now we have none.
You guys did not have a chance for the playoffs.
We had a better chance than you did.
We've been
especially out now with having all these games in hand.
The Blackhawks have been out of the playoffs all season. I would say that.
Right.
But St. Louis, the way they've been playing, they had zero shot at making the playoffs this year.
Tank did not want to leave. Tank did not want to leave. You need to understand this. Tank could no longer play for Berube. Berube is the issue. You didn't get rid of the issue. That's what I'm trying to get at. The issue is Berube. The issue's still going to be Berube. He's not going anywhere. All this young talent that you're so happy to get is going to end up on the bench, not playing. God, I'm going off hard, ain't I? This is going to be like when they trade Kane and get the same return.
I don't think the Hawks are trading Kane. That's the thing. The way Kane talked at the beginning of the week on Monday, he was questioned about the trade deadline coming up, and his quote was, "We'll have to see what happens, I'm still undecided on what to do. And if I play, I want to be playing where I feel like I'm home. And being like he's home, that sounds like he wants to be in Chicago because he's made his home in Chicago. His family's moved to Chicago from Buffalo.
Well, him saying home, I mean, that could easily be Buffalo too.
I don't think it does because his family did basically move all out to Chicago full time.
Yeah, but there's some, I don't want to get into this, but there's something behind that move.
It's not about that because I know what what you're hinting at, but it's not even about that.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying it does play into it in my mind.
It doesn't because he wasn't found.
I know. I don't want to go any more into it. Bedard is not the next McDavid. Bedard is too small. Bedard is too small, and right now he's only the 16th fastest in the juniors. The 16th fastest, not the fastest like McDavid was. 16th fastest in the NHL. He's going to look like he's standing still on ice.
I disagree on you calling him a bust because the way he is, he's not like a failed Yakupov. He's not like a Alexander Digg. He's a player that actually is the way he plays, he makes his team better.
I still, let's hear what Doug Armstrong had to say. Damn it. Trying to find the right buttons here.
Lou, I think you go into it.
Let me restart it for you guys. Here we go.
Hey, Doug, I'm just curious, though, if you were to trade Tarasenko, was it imperative to get a first-round pick in return for him?
Yes. Yeah, we were looking. Lou, I think you go into it. We're trying to have players that can complement guys sooner than later. So your first thing is to get a proven young player. Those are always harder to do. I know they're harder to give up. A first round pick is just a number right now, but as soon as you put a name to it, for some reason, they become probably 20% better than they really are to the team that picks them. We're no different than the other teams. So a first round pick is something that I know our guys are excited to have, our amateur guys. And I think what it does, Lou, it also gives you the ability to package that and whatever pick we may have to move up a few slots. It also gives us the ability to pick that pick there. It also gives us the ability to potentially trade that like we have in the past for NHL proven or ready players. So it just first round picks are big time equity in the NHL, and now we have two for sure.
Oh, that's it? I thought there was more to it. I guess I just got part of it. So, no, I thought there was more to it than that. But, yeah. Look, guys, you have to understand, I think what we got in return is worse than nothing. I would rather have him than what we got in return. That's the video I got sent. Did somebody else send me something different? If you did, let me know, and I'll go find it. That's the one that I got sent. Somebody's got something else that I don't know where it is. I'm looking here real quick. No, that's the only video I have. That's the only thing that I got sent. If somebody else has got something more, send it to me. That's what I got sent. 15-minute interview. Yeah, I don't know. Look, I could be wrong on Bedard, but I don't feel it. It's like, Shane Wright last year. What did everybody say about Shane Wright? Can't miss. Kid's going to be great. Da-da-da-da-da. Where's he at now? Juniors. Everybody said, in fact, he's the can't-miss #1 pick. Where did he go?
5th.
Oh, I was 4th, wasn't it?
5th.
5th overall. Brian Green said he sent it to me. I'm going to see if I can find it. Here we go. Okay, this is the presser. This is not what he did in the... Hold on.
It here and
okay, here we go. This is the interview. Full interview. Here we go. We can talk during the interview, Wendy.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I'd like to start out by thanking Vladimir Tarasenko and Mikkola for their services with the St. Louis Blues. Obviously, my relationship with Vlad is longer and deeper than it is with Meeks, but Vladdy was drafted here and came over as a young man and grew up with us and allowed us to become champions. And I thank him for that. I told him that I wish he and his family nothing but the best as he moves on to New York and to a different chapter in his life. And also with Mikkola, a 5th round.
Did I lose something?
That audio's not coming through.
Doug, you're accidentally muted.
That was my best stuff too. Sorry. I just want to, did you get any of that, guys, or no?
We lost you when you started talking about Mikkola.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I want to thank Meeks for his. You
know what? I'll watch it later and we'll talk about it tomorrow on tomorrow's show. I see everyone keeps going, well, if we kept him, we lose him for nothing. No, you miss. You don't give him up for nothing. It's what he means to the team while he's here. You miss that. What you got in return does not replace him, even close.
I think was at the point. This is where I'm thinking happened. They knew they weren't going to re-sign him, and they knew the team is not going to be a playoff team. That's why they made a trade. Do I think they made the trade too early? Yeah. The trade deadline's not until March 3rd. And if you wanted to trade him, I would have traded him closer to the deadline when teams were more desperate. And
you can call me wrong, guys. You can call me wrong all you want. It's my opinion. I'm sticking by it. Well, okay. Here's the thing. With Vladdy gone, is the team going to get better? Why is the team falling apart? Is it Vladdy? I don't think so. Vladdy was a 16th overall pick. The first round pick you're going to get is probably at the highest, going to be 22, 23, probably even less.
The thing is, he's also in his 30s and has an injury history.
That injury history's gone. He's had a good season. He broke his hand this year blocking a shot. That happens to everybody.
That still goes to his injury history.
No, because...
Yes, it does.
That goes to playing hard.
It still goes part of his injury history. It's part of his history he had that injury.
Well, okay, it wasn't in... Oh, we aren't... you think we're tanking? God. Golf King. You ain't getting nothing for Blaze. I put a tweet out. Let me see if I can find this tweet real quick. Because somebody said something, about how great it was that Blaze was coming back, and he was going to be so good. It was so great that Blaze came back. right? Hold on. Let me see if I can find this.
Does not have trade value. His contract's one of the worst in the NHL, and he's one of the worst players analytically in the NHL. The fact that St. Louis brought him back is kind of a joke, in my opinion. And earlier today, I said St. Louis botched their trade.
I'm getting torn up for my take. Everyone wants to go, well, we would have lost him for nothing. We would have lost him for nothing. And no, you wouldn't have. That's the thing. You don't lose him for nothing. You didn't lose Perron for nothing. You had Perron help you through the playoffs. Right? You had Perron help you through the playoffs. Here's my tweet.
But you guys
right? I want to show this.
The thing is,
I want to show this. Say again, Indy.
Thing is, Perron may have helped you through the playoffs, but you guys weren't going to make the playoffs this year.
You know, we still don't know that. Well, we do now. We didn't before.
It was a pretty good point to say St. Louis was at a point where they're not going to make the playoffs.
This is Blaze's career. 173 games. His career. 17 goals, 27 assists, and 44 points. That's his career. Let me show this. This is Tarasenko's career. Let's start with his second year. 21 goals, 22 assists, 43 points. Third year, 73 points. Fourth year, 74 points. Fifth year, 75 points. Sixth year, 66 points. Seventh year, 68 points. Here he was injured. Then you have 82 points last season. This season, he's played 38 games. 38 games he's played, and Blaze has played 50 games this year. So he's played 12 more games than Blaze. Blaze has 5 freaking assists this year. So you tell me how getting Blaze back is such a great thing. Oh, man, you guys, I know you guys are tearing me up. I can't get all of this. Right? See, and yeah, you guys can just be pissed at me all you want. This is an absolute horrid trade, and we would have done better keeping him than taking this trade. You know what? I think he'll re-sign with the Rangers. I think that deal will be done within a week.
I still don't see it happening.
We didn't play better as a team when Tank got injured. No way. He wasn't the worst player. Kostin is worse than Tarasenko. That's a shitty fucking take. By the way, thank you to Kelsey Rapp. Patrick, I can't even. Bunny's post a lot. John Hefter, Matt Park, Bill Bacon, Joyce Hake, Michael Edwards, Gloria Spear, and one more. Tammy Pemberton and Jason Nichols. Thank you so much for throwing those thumbs in the air. We got 4 pieces for a rental, and Mikkola. Mikkola is a rental too. That's how I see it. Mikkola is a rental too. We got a kid. We got a piece that will never. Stastny. We traded Stastny for 2 possible pieces. Got 1. He never made it to the NHL and retired. And you retained $3.5 million. You kept $3.5 million of his salary. Right? And basically when you retain the $3.5 million, that's money you've already paid him. So you don't have to pay him the rest. Basically, that's what happens. Or actually, maybe you only pay him half from this way out. But the trade was for a picks rebuild. Why making it Blaze was the main factor in the trade? Because we could have gotten better pieces. You could have gotten better pieces for a rebuild. If you're rebuilding, get prospects that are possible of being in the NHL, not a prospect that is in the ECHL that will never see the NHL, or the 32nd pick in the draft, or a 3rd round pick that has a 25% chance of playing a season in the NHL. That's what I'm getting at. That's what you got. You guys are all thinking we got this great shit. We got absolute nothing. Nothing. Yeah, sorry, Wendy. I'm hot today.
Mm-hmm.
You know? you say you get nothing for him? That is the point that where it's good, but where you're missing is that you would not get nothing for him. When Perron left, did you get nothing for Perron? No, you got a guy that helps you get to the late into the second round of the playoffs and possibly just short of going to the Western Conference Finals. That's what you got from Perron. Not nothing. That's what you get. Your chances of making the playoffs are a ton better with Tarasenko and Mikkola than they are without. Right? It's not. No, I don't think it is. What if none of those players, other than Blaze, and I think Blaze is an absolute bust, he's the only one that might play for the NHL. That's what I'm trying to get at. You got, well, the Petro one's a little different because of COVID, right? COVID had a lot to do with the Petro issue, and actually didn't. And Petro was still negotiating with the Blues, so that wasn't on Armstrong, right? That wasn't on Armstrong. Hey, buddy, how you doing? I got my left in the cast. 2 late-round picks that have very small chance of making it in the NHL. That's what you're missing. These picks are not that great of picks. It's not a top 15 pick. Everyone's acting like first round pick. Yay, we got Bedard. You got possibly the 28th pick in the draft. You know what, Dan? Petro left for very little more than what he was offered here. Very little more. He was offered a modified no movement clause here. He did not want to stay with Berube. You guys have to understand that the signs of Berube are here and you're missing it. What do you mean by a comparable that would have been better? I mean, what piece could have we gotten? Kako. There were other guys that people thought would have been on the trade. We are sucking in Springfield this year. I don't even think we're in the playoff spot right now.
Springfield's one of the worst teams in the AHL.
Yeah. Bedard goes to the 28th pick. That ain't happening. Too many people are on his nuts. Right? Perron left for barely a little bit more. Right? No, it couldn't be 17 because you get the worst of the Rangers or Dallas's pick. Dallas has a high enough record that if they went out in the first round or even the second round, it would still be in the late 20s. It would be in the 20s. Don't you guys understand that? You're not getting the Rangers pick. You're getting the worst of Dallas's or the Rangers pick. Right? Perron wouldn't have helped this team. You know, if Perron is the one that kept Berube at bay, then that should have been right there the telling sign that you needed to fire Berube whether you gave him the contract or not. Well, Thomas is going to be around for a while. He just signed a huge deal with no trade clauses. Who knows? It doesn't matter. You've written this season. The front office has told you that we don't think that we can do anything this season. And that's the thing. That's the point that everybody's missing. This team is way too good to be this bad. When a team is this good to be this bad, that's on the coach. Okay. The real question is, do they sign O'Reilly or trade? They're signing O'Reilly. Armstrong basically said that today without saying it. Right? And that's a problem. We've got him for 2 more years of this crap, right? Are they? Well, he says they're on a 9-game win streak. I didn't know that they were.
They moved into 4th in their division, but I didn't realize they were on that long of a win streak. But for a while, they were one of the worst teams in the AHL. And if it's a 9-game win streak, that still could be leading to still unsustainable hockey going to the stretch, because that's hard to hold up.
But the problem is Thomas just signed a 8-year deal, bud. He just signed an 8-year deal. Thomas right now is stuck. And yes, he's stuck with a coach that he don't like. Right? He's going to have to step up and be a hell of a leader. That's what they said when they fired Bowman. What did they say?
What's up?
I'm not sure. They should have guy in the front office to slap some. I would have been completely against this trade. I would have been completely against this trade, and it's not that Vladimir Tarasenko had an issue and wanted to be traded. Okay, it's not that I love Tarasenko. My issue is the return. There's too many question marks in the return. There are other good players that you could have gotten instead of Blaze. And why put Mikkola in? That doesn't go anywhere.
Dan, try to elaborate what you're trying to say when they fired Bowman. There's more reasons for firing Bowman.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're talking about there, bud.
Try and elaborate more, because I don't understand what you're trying to say here. But my statement on Bowman, the guy should have been fired back in.
Well, maybe he should have, because if he should have, I would have told him to think about what he's doing, because it makes our fan base. I don't get it. We have turned on Tarasenko 100%. And we have said, oh my goodness, I'm glad we got him and got him for something. No, you didn't. Who's one of the winningest coaches in the NHL history?
Berube's not that.
Berube's not even close.
Are you mistaking Joel Quenneville?
Bowman's not got a winning record, does he?
Bowman, Scotty Bowman's has the most wins in NHL history, but I'm trying to.
Yeah, but I think he's talking about the Bowman you had.
Yeah, I thought he was the first.
Oh, when Bowman left St. Louis, he wasn't fired. He left because he couldn't get the GM. He wanted to be the GM, and they wouldn't do it, so he left. He didn't get fired. He left. Right? And Berube's not the best coach in Blues history, not even close. The cup, winning the cup, one season doesn't make you the best coach in Blues history. He has a losing record in the playoffs. In fact, no Blues coach has a winning record in the playoffs. Well, when I say we, I mean me. And when I say we, I mean the BlueNote Fan Report. So that's what I mean. All right? I know, guys, look, I get where you're coming from. I absolutely get where each and every one of you is coming from. I still feel that there was a better deal out there. And I also feel that you didn't fix the problem. Right? What was that? Oh, I wish E was here so I could bitch at him right now. The movie Moneyball. Do you remember the movie Moneyball?
Yeah.
Right? We, let's just say 1 to 16 gets first picks because they didn't make the playoffs unless the trade clause. I have 91 Sutter, since you love so much, make me an offer. You know what, Dale? Do what you want with your sweater, man. You know, I man, I'm trying not to get upset. You got to understand the pick we're getting from either from Dallas or the Rangers is a pick. It's not this great pick everybody thinks it is. Right? The movie Moneyball. When they're the first time in the boardroom when they're talking about players. Do you remember how that conversation went?
About the guy's looks and stuff like that.
You're close, but they were talking about the problem. And Billy goes, the lead scout goes, well, we know what the problem is. Billy goes, well, okay, tell me what the problem is. And he goes, well, we have to replace it. And he's going, no, that's not the problem. That's the thing here. Everyone's looking at Tarasenko and being a UFA as the problem. That's not the problem. The problem isn't Tarasenko and being a UFA. The problem isn't O'Reilly and being a UFA. The problem isn't the contracts that Thomas and Iru got. The problem isn't Barbashev being a UFA. The problem is here is a very, very good team that is quitting. Why is the team quitting? The majority of the fan base is blaming it on Tarasenko and this, oh my God, he doesn't want to be here. No, the signs have been there. But Ruby is the fucking problem, and we're just all hugging him and putting blinders on. Oh my God, we want Ruby because he brought us the cup. Where's your cup-winning coach? Your 3-time cup-winning coach?
Fired because of a scandal.
Oh, he got fired long before the scandal.
Oh, well, that was because of Stan Bowman's ego, so there was an issue there. Stan Bowman should have been fired before firing Joel Quenneville. The thing was, that's how things ended. Coach Q was pissed after the Hawks traded away Nicholas Jarmerson on draft day. Same with Artemi Panarin. Want to know what happened that day? That was draft day 2017 in Chicago. They traded away those two players, Panarin to the Blue Jackets, Hammer to the Coyotes. Quenneville basically left the United Center and basically said almost F you to Bowman and did not show up for the remainder of the night of draft day. So Q was gone after that, but he remained coach for the remainder of the 2017-18 season, and the team was injured riddled. Corey Crawford had a Vezina stellar season, but had 2 concussions that ended his season short. Coach Q stayed as coach through the offseason. The next season, Hawks fired him at the November 3rd, 2018, because Bowman thought Jeremy Call-a-Clown was the answer as head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks. He was not. He was the worst head coach in Blackhawks history, and that's what caused everything.
What about Nail Yakupov? He was the number 1 overall pick.
He was a bust.
All right, number 1 overall. Can't miss. Number 1. First overall pick.
That is not necessarily true. A lot of people were not actually one. There was statements of Nail Yakupov and the fact he was not viewed as truly the number 1 prospect going into the 2012 draft. The reason why the Oilers drafted him at number 1 overall, they felt pressured by the fans and they said, screw it, we'll take the guy who has an ego issue. And basically, we all found out he turned into a total bust and is in the KHL now.
First of all, Bob Morton makes a great point, and I want to put this up there for him. I'm trying to get my machine. I move my buttons around. Every night it's fire, blah, blah, blah. Guy, you're generalizing how some people have their opinions And that won't get you anywhere trying to convince people. No, I'm not going to convince anybody. I'm not going to convince anybody. Obviously, I'm not going to convince anybody. And obviously, I'm in the minority. I'm in the minority here. Right? And I get that right now. I'm in the absolute minority here. But I look at, now, if you haven't figured this out yet, and if you, the guys that know me, and I think even Wendy will tell you this, I see the game a lot differently than most people do. I see things a lot differently than most people do. Wendy, do you agree with that statement or not?
Yeah, I could say I agree a little bit.
Okay. I see things on a different perspective than a lot of people. I obviously don't follow the herd. Because if I followed the herd, great, we got something for him. He wanted to leave, da-da-da-da-da. I'm trying to get in the media. And my connections within the media have shown me one thing. And it's not a good thing. It's not. What do you think, Wendy? I'll let Wendy to make this decision.
Go ahead.
Oh my goodness. Here we go. Wendy said it was okay. Just remember, blame Wendy for this. I'm trying to, here it is. Blame Wendy for this. And here we go.
Right? Here's another one. Oh my God, Scandella's the worst fucking defenseman, and I'm sorry, I'm going off. I'm pissed. I'm so sick and tired of you. Scandella's so fucking bad. He can't play worth a shit. Fucking trade Scandella for a goddamn bag of pucks right the fuck now. It don't work that way, people.
There you go. There's that one for you. Look, guys, I understand. Yeah, maybe. I don't know, Jason. I don't see it. I honestly don't see it. Right? Everyone sits there and talks about, you know what? Have you seen, now, most of you know that I do not promote Jeremy Rutherford or any articles he wrote. He wrote one for The Athletic where they did the NHL 99, basically the 100 best players, but they all knew who number one was, so the 99 after, right? Mm-hmm. He wrote on Brett Hull, and he talked about, and Hull was number 22. And there was something I read about Hull that I didn't realize. I thought it, but I didn't realize it. And when Hull went to Dallas with Hitchcock goes to Hull to talk to Hull about the power play. Hitchcock said he spent 5 minutes and shut up because he already figured out that Hull knew more about the power play than he ever would. Hull had a lot of hockey smarts, and Tarasenko does too. Tarasenko has a huge hockey IQ that no one gives him credit for. Right? I just think that we're going to regret this. You know what, Danny? I'll tell you this, Danny. Grab up all the Warriors for me, and let's see if we can figure out a way to get me home for that game. Figure out I need to be home for that game, and I need to be at that game. Danny, we need to figure it out. You and Shockey can help it happen. Right? Let's get me sponsorship. Let's get me home. I'm going to work my ass off. I get my car back tomorrow. Wasn't supposed to get it back till the 20th. That means I can start working again. If I'm not on this, I'll be working. I'm going to work my ass off so I can move back this summer. Right? I don't know what else to say, guys. I feel how I feel. You guys feel how you feel. And I get that. All of you that think that this is a good trade, absolutely. Good on you. Good on you. I will not convince you otherwise. And the same goes the other way for me. You're not going to convince me in any way, shape, or form that this was a good trade. And here's a good example of that. Go ahead, Mary. Good example of this. The Ryan O'Reilly trade. When that trade went down, 99.9% of the people thought the Blues fleeced Buffalo. Absolutely thought the Blues fleeced Buffalo. 5 years later, it reminds me of that song, Don't You Want Me? 5 years later, 5 years on now. People think the Blues lost that trade because of how Tage Thompson has turned out. Maybe in a couple of years, it'll look that way. But at the moment, I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't.
The thing is, I don't think Tage Thompson would have ever developed in St. Louis.
That's exactly right. He would have never, no matter what, he wouldn't. Go ahead, Mary. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Go ahead. Does he pull a no-trade clause if he didn't really go? I'm not sure what you're asking. He had to. Now, this was the thing. See, this was the thing that Lance argued with me. Oh, no, you're wrong, guy. Since he put a list in, he has to get traded. They had, one of the things that came out today was exactly what I said. He had to approve the trade. It was still up to him to not approve it.
Mm-hmm.
He had that. It's written in the CBA that way. Right? Connor McDavid and the Great just lost to the Flyers in a shootout. The lowly Flyers just beat them in a shootout, 2-1.
The Flyers are actually one of those weird teams that win against good teams. So that doesn't surprise me, to be quite honest.
Right? I just, right now, as we sit, giving up Mikkola. Actually, I think this is the trade. Mikkola for Blaze and Tarasenko for Skinner, the first and the fourth. Because Mika and Blaze, they're both UFAs next year. They're both their salary cap hits are almost the same. They're within a couple 100,000 of each other. Yeah, it's approved. He's gone, right? It means at this point, yeah. He doesn't mean he wanted to go. It meant that, he told the Blues, Berube or me. And the Blues said you. Berube or me. I think that's what he ended up telling the Blues. Berube or me. And the Blues chose Berube. I don't know how much better offers they would have. I think they should have held out with the longer they waited, the better the offer would have gotten from New York.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You could have gotten Kakko or the other guy that everybody was talking about.
Lafreniere.
No, not Lafreniere, the other one that they're a defenseman.
Kravtsov?
Huh?
Kravtsov?
Yeah, Kravtsov. I think you're right, Ryan. I think he was desperate. Panthers beat the Sharks 4-1. No one's seen the list. That was absolutely kept private, and I don't think it'll ever come out. I don't think that list will ever come out.
Yeah. Those type of things never come out usually unless you have a situation like Evgeny Dadonov last year who got traded. Then didn't get traded because Vegas screwed up on that part.
You say 18 and 25 is great. You need to understand that no matter what either one of them did this season, they were getting that deal or better from somebody else. They are young, highly touted talent with what they had done up to this point, no matter what would have happened this year. And first of all, Kairu's had a great year, right? They would have gotten more money. When Armstrong signed Pietrangelo and Tarasenko to the exact same deals, did anybody bitch? Did anybody complain then? I don't remember anybody complaining when Petro got his deal or Tarasenko got his deal. Nobody complained about that. But all of a sudden, Thomas and Kyrou get those deals, and they got the same deals. They got the same deals that Tarasenko and Pietrangelo got, adjusted for inflation. Same deals. Kyrou's leading the team right now. How is he overrated, Golf King? Yeah, Jason, I agree with you there, bud. Right? I just think that everybody is looking at this like this. Right? Everybody's looking at us with blinders on, and they're only seeing the parts of this that they want to see. They only want to see the Tarasenko trade request. They only want to see Tarasenko didn't want to be here. There's other things here that I think that are so missed, right? If you go back, the Pietrangelo thing, the reason think about what he went to Vegas for. It was minuscule. The amount that he got over what St. Louis offered him, minuscule. Think about what Perron left for, minuscule. $750,000. That's what he left for. That's minuscule. What's the difference between $4 million and 4.75? There's not that much difference. There really isn't. Minuscule. Yet they still left. Golf King, I don't know about that. I think this, I have to say now that I was absolutely wrong about this divorce, that this divorce was set in motion and wasn't ending. It was Kyrou, or pardon me, it was Tarasenko or Berube. And when they signed Berube to the 3-year deal this season, that was the end of Tarasenko. The 3-year extension of Berube was the end of Tarasenko. And Berube fooled everybody. And I'll tell you straight up. Last season, Berube was his best season of coaching, and he fooled everybody into well, Dale, I'm sorry. You know, it's my show. I get to say what I want. And you know what? If I was a GM, I guarantee you we'd do better than where we are right now. Because I would admit that I was wrong by signing Berube to that contract and take the hit and fire him. Right? And this is what's wrong with our culture right here. We can't disagree. Oh, I don't like what you're saying, so I'm just going to leave. We can't have a debate. I'm listening to what you guys are saying. I disagree with it, but I'm listening to it. Yeah, I think that's exactly why. I'd have to go back. I'm thinking about it. He hasn't had that many injuries. He hasn't been injured this year, I don't think, and I don't think he was injured last year. Right? I'd have to go back and look. Last year, I think he played all but I think he played every game or all but one game. I think so. Hey, Shaggy. Well, you know what? That's fine. I'm willing to listen to what you have to say. Well, I have 18 likes today. Dale Clunk, Ben Floyd, Danny Tower, and Bill Clunk did it after he left. Danny Tower, Jeremy Brander, Jeff Orts, Marion, Ryan Green, Justin Mullen. Let's see. Oh, he gave me a sad face, too. So he gave me a sad face as he did. Patrick, Funny, Post a lot. Kelsey Rapp, Ben Floyd, and so many others I can't see. No, I don't think Thomas is injured now, is he? I don't think so. I have to look. I don't think so. Right? I'm not sure. I think he might have missed 1 or 2 games, but I think he came back. I agree, Jeff. We needed more than what we got. Right? We absolutely needed more than what we got. Let me bring Shaggy in here for a little bit. It won't be long, but I don't know how much longer Wendy can handle me. And I say that lovingly, but right? You know, I have every right to voice my opinion, just like everybody else has every right to voice theirs. Okay? Everybody has every right to voice their opinions. I have a show that I produce. Hold on, Chag. I have a show that I produce that allows me to voice my opinion. If you are unhappy with my opinion, go produce your own show and voice yours. You can voice yours on mine, and I will listen to it. Not sure if I'll agree with it. I'll listen to it, but I'm probably not going to agree with it. And that's just the way it goes. Jags, I'm still upset with this trade. I think the Blues got fleeced.
Yes, they did. Straight up.
Have you gotten your Tarasenko Ranger jersey yet?
Oh, I am working on that, actually.
Actually, I think I have 2 coming. I think you're sending me one, and the Rangers fan that was on earlier, he told me he's getting me one, so I'll see if he asks for my address.
Right?
He'll have to find a way to message me because I don't do it. That's the one problem I have with YouTube is there's no real way to message through YouTube, and that leaves some anonymity that really doesn't like you feel. Who are you talking about? Please stop smiling like SpongeBob. Is that me? I don't know. Golf King asks, will Taze get traded?
Taze is an interesting one. I could see it, but I don't know. Taze hasn't even returned to practice after the trade deadline. Not trade deadline, the bye week because of being sick, and hopefully he's not dealing with what he had dealt with back in 2021. So Taze is an interesting one to keep an eye out for.
How many games has the Blues played this season? I'd have to look that up, but so far Thomas has played in 48 games, so yeah, he's probably missed a little bit. So here's Thomas since he's been in the league. In 18-19, he played 70 games. He played 66 in 19-20, and that's actually just about everything that we played that year. Right? That's really close to what we played that year. In 2021, he played 33, 56 games, so and he played 48 this year. And I want to say the Blues, since they got 32, they probably played about 7 or 50 something games. So he's only missed a couple, right? If I go, let me do some quick math here, right? So with the first season, actually, I think he played that whole season. Give me a second to do some math here. So that was 82 plus 82.
Taze has the flu, but what I'm thinking, I hope it's not this, what he dealt with back in 2021, I will tell. Hang on.
Oh, hold on. I'm trying to look at something here real quick.
Back in 2021, Taze dealt with chronic inflammatory response syndrome, which screws up his immune system.
Yeah. I'm trying to look at how many games the Blues played. So give me a second. I hit the wrong thing here. I'm hitting the wrong button. Give me a moment. So let me figure this out here. Bear with me. You still with me, Shaggy?
Yeah.
Shaggy, you talk while I'm figuring this out, bud.
Well,
Tell us what you think about all this.
Here's the hardest part of this entire thing. We talked about this, and it's not being made important enough, and that is style of play. We know that Tarasenko might not have liked the dump and chase style of game. The fact that he actually wanted this to happen, and I don't know if Wendy you were hearing before, I actually feel Tarasenko has pushed this entire thing. This was nothing to do with the Blues system actually, screwing up. They literally had no choice. He said, look, I'm gone. And they're like, hey, who are you willing to open up to? And they're like, and he said New York. And this was their option. And New York threw them what they threw them, and they didn't really have much of an option. So they got back what they got back. Guy pointed out that a lot of what they got back was garbage, because at the end of the day, there's like faults with every single part of it. But again, they got back something, and now let's see what they could take that with and do something with that. Meaning, I suggested maybe Barbashev with that conditional first round pick for maybe some young player and maybe a higher first round pick, not necessarily much higher, but higher than what they have there, and maybe a less of a conditional one. I think that's the more important part here. But the style of play, I feel the fact that he actually waived it meant that maybe he doesn't mind it. He doesn't mind the dump and chase, which I thought he minded. That's why originally I said I didn't think it was going to happen, because I don't think he likes the style of play.
With that line that they got there, Zibanejad, that Russian line that they got there, they're not going to be dumping and chasing. That line, maybe everybody else is going to dump and chase, but they sure aren't.
I wouldn't be surprised if they still dump and chase, because that's how Gallant plays. Zibanejad likes to dump and chase, because when you send that puck in, Zibanejad gets a chance to line himself up for the shot that he likes in that left on that left wing, and Panarin, if they get that puck, Panarin like scoots around to the top, passes it around to usually a defenseman who passes to Panarin, who crosses it to Zibanejad for the one-timer. They love that play. It's something that only really will work really well in the dump and chase, because what the dump and chase allows you to do is the defense is collapsed to the bottom of the ice because they want to collect the puck. And if their teammate gets it, they want to scoot up ice. So either way, they're not focusing on the offense setting up. If that's why also dump and chase could hurt you on the defensive end, because if they get that puck and your offensive players, your forwards get out there, or maybe even some defensemen on teams that like to push the defensemen onto the offensive side a little more, they will actually have an odd man rush. One of the things in the playoffs last year that the Rangers got destroyed on was odd man rushes.
Okay, Golf King, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
You hear me? Okay. Golf King, so Thomas has played 84% of the games in his career. That's not someone that's really injury prone to me. I mean, he's had some minor injuries, minor things here and there, but for the most part, he's played in a large amount of their game. What is that behind you, Wendy?
What? My screen went black on my end.
What, Wendy? Oh, am I still black?
No, on my end it went on my camera, it black screened on me. I don't know what happened.
No, it showed a picture of a junk car behind you.
Hey, look, at least that was all it was. Yeah, you know what? Oh, was it tank? I saw something.
Oh, a tank. I used that tank for one of my streams, so I guess I might have bumped something.
Yeah. Okay. So Golf King, to me, a guy that plays 85% of his games, I can deal with little injuries. Little injuries happen. I think he's had a concussion here. And that's stuff that's going to come along, right? I know some people are not happy with me over all this, and I get it. Jerry Bradshaw, thank you, bud. But I'm just saying that I'm trying to look at everything, not just this. I'm not trying to put blinders on, and I think a lot of people in this have put blinders on, and they blame Tank for all the problems that we have. And there's a lot more going on than I think it is. I don't think Tank is the problem, and I don't think trading Tank fixes anything. Right? I don't believe that it fixes anything, and in fact, I think more than anything else, it's going to highlight the problem. Because now that voice, that major voice you had in the locker room to tell Berube to shut up is gone.
1 second. Guy, I think it's vice versa. I actually mentioned before that I think the problem was Tarasenko, because Tarasenko was not happy with the coaching and he tried and things weren't going well. And Tarasenko wasn't about staying there. And everyone knew Tarasenko's gone after this season. And he might have even, the fact that people knew that he wasn't buying into it, they didn't buy into it. You know, as much as you have your captain that's supposed to lead the team, Tarasenko was a pretty big leader on this team. And the fact that he didn't want to keep playing in St. Louis, I think let the team down. O'Reilly was injured, okay? Tarasenko wasn't playing at his, you know, at his highest amount. I mean, very possibly, maybe
the
he wasn't.
The whole team wasn't playing at their highest amount. Tarasenko has gone out there. Tarasenko has been, he was your all-star. He was voted your all-star by the players.
Doug Armstrong, okay, after the, you know, they asked him about this. He's like, dude, I'm finished for tonight. He started laughing. That's not how you respond. That's not how you respond. What type of manager goes, done for tonight? You just traded one of your best players. You go, look, you know, it's rough seeing a good player go. No, his line is, I'm done for tonight. He said Ryan's a cap, and they asked him about O'Reilly. He's like, Ryan's our captain. I'm a big fan of Ryan. He talked behind our closed doors. I'm going to keep it there. He knows how I feel about him.
Yep, I seen that. Okay. And to me,
that's
him
the reaction I wanted with Tarasenko. If you're a manager and you just let one of your best players go, you should go, look, I spoke to him. We spoke to Vladdy. I spoke to Tank. We went through the. Where is that?
He said that at the beginning. He said that at the beginning.
I don't know how he didn't sound as much happy with Tarasenko.
Yeah, well, he did say it at the beginning. You know, he thanked Tarasenko for everything he'd done and da-da-da-da-da.
Berube sounded more upset because Berube's like, oh, it was a tough situation, and obviously they haven't performed well enough. That's what happens. Trades are made.
Yeah, the trade happened because Tarasenko just recently was yelling at Berube on the bench. Yelling at him at the play.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, here, Brian, you think that Binnington sucks ass. Really? So, how much better has Greiss been? Their numbers are equal. That's team. That's not Binnington. Binnington has been blamed for this team's failures. But if it was Binnington, last season, there were some issues with Binnington, and Husso had much better numbers than Binnington. I'll agree with that. This season, not so much. Their numbers are equal. They're equal.
Let me ask you something else. Interesting enough. The 2021 trade request by Tarasenko that you say that he took back.
Yeah.
Is this possibly an effect of that?
This is an effect of that.
So if this is an effect of that, is it possible that Tarasenko's relationship with this department, with everyone in that front office, and with Berube was already bad going into this year? And so therefore it just got worse over the time. Even though he probably took it back, he might have taken it back just simply to look, just either because he realized that no one was trading him now because he has to wait for his contract year.
First of all, I don't think it was actually a trade request. I think it was, hey, if you're not going to use me and you know, in a way that it's going to make me successful, here's some teams that I'd be willing to go to. Play me where I'll be successful or send me somewhere else. If you don't want me, send me somewhere else. That's not a trade request, but that's what it was made out to be. And second, I think when Berube got rehired, that really upset Tarasenko to the point where he finally said enough's enough and I'm done. I think there have been issues between him and Berube for a while now. I think there's been issues between Berube and top players on this team for a long time, i.e. Pietrangelo, Perron, O'Reilly, Tarasenko, and so on, and it's been glossed over.
Yeah.
You might want to look at his numbers in 2019-20. Up until the bubble where the whole team sucked, he was pretty good. And he's been good this year.
I have a question for you guys.
No.
I know he has a no trade clause on his contract, but if a team were to call St. Louis up, like the LA Kings, and try and trade for Bennington, do you try and do it? Because we know the Kings need a goalie, and they're in a push for a playoff spot. They're actually in one as of speaking now. Could we see a potential with St. Louis now admitting they're going into a rebuild by trading Tarasenko? Would they try and trade Bennington?
What do you mean Tarasenko made it about himself? I can see where you're saying that, but he, if the coach is destroying the team, isn't that on the coach? Right? I don't see that. And yes, I would look at trading Bennington. If we've got two goalies in the system that are the goalies of the future, in Tarasenko and Hoffer, why not? Why not? You wanna crap the season? You wanna tank hard for the Nord? Yeah, why not? Why not? At this point, your coach, who's absolutely destroyed Bennington in the press more than once, wants to keep doing that shit. Yeah, let him go. Let him go. I think that the Blues are going to reap what they sowed with Berube. Berube's message is stale. No one wants to listen to it, and it doesn't work. Hear that out. It doesn't work. Last season, we played a very smart, fast, skilled game that worked. This season, we haven't. We played Berube's system, and it hasn't worked. Who's at fault? Right? That's what's being missed here. The problem is not being looked at. The underlying problem is not being looked at. It's. I'm not going to go there. I was going to say something, but I won't go there. You're looking at a symptom, and not the illness. You're trying to correct the symptom and not the illness, and I think that's exactly what's happening here. I don't think it would take 5 players. I think it would take a first-round pick, a prospect, and
goalies on if they do trade. I just threw the question out there because now it clearly shows St. Louis is going into a rebuild by trading Tarasenko. It's a question to be asked.
No, it is. It's fair.
And with a team like the LA Kings who definitely need a goalie and they're in a playoff position, they could be a player in trying to acquire a goalie on a team that is going to go into a rebuild. And Bennington is on a rebuilding team now. Yeah, and I was saying he would have to agree. I know he had a no trade clause. I was just putting that question out there.
The thing is, I don't think Bennington goes. I don't think Bennington goes because for another reason. Let's look at it this way. You do have guys in the system, and you could get, save money that way.
No.
But you're not making the situation better by taking your goalie, even though you could get back value for him. I just can't see it. I just can't.
Yes, Spinner would have to approve a trade. Next year he wouldn't. He submits an 18-team no trade list.
I just can't see them trading him. I see them trading O'Reilly before him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could.
I think O'Reilly stays now. I think the Tarasenko trade opens up money for O'Reilly. I think
in order of going, I think Barbashev is on top there.
Yeah, Barbashev's next.
Barbashev
and Akari are next.
Barbashev, I don't think Akari goes. I think
Akari goes.
Akari will go. I'm saying in order. I would go Barbashev, then O'Reilly, then Akari. The reason why I think they might keep Akari is very simply because he's to the younger side, and you're not going to get back the same value unless you pair him with something else.
That's why I think you take him and Barbashev and put them together.
Well, I'm not sure who wants both. I'm not sure who would take both.
Yeah, I think it is actually, I think now we're in a rebuild. I think that we've taken retool out of it, right?
Vegas could be a player if they want to try and go after O'Reilly because they do need a centerman on their team.
I've heard that too.
With the fact that Stone is injured.
Richard, how do you see this being a great trade for both? Right? Because I don't. This is not a good trade for the Blues in any way, shape, or form. Right? In any way, shape, or form. In fact, I'm going to bring you on for this. I'll stay on a little bit longer. And if either one of you guys needs to go, you're more than welcome. I'm going to bring Richard on here in a second. If I can find him here, give me a moment. And because I do not see how this is a good trade for the Blues at all. And I want to hear what somebody who thinks that this is a good trade, what they think. Right? He says this is good for both. I don't even think it's close to good for both. Right?
See, I don't think at the end of the day, at the end of the day, this is a good for both teams. I think it's Rangers won the trade, but the Blues are like, you know what I feel like? I feel like a guy goes to the store to buy something and he needs that thing and he gets like the off-brand company. So it might like, maybe it's going to work. We don't know for sure, but look, you had to get it. I think it's the same idea. You didn't get what you wanted. You didn't have much of an option. I don't think there was a lot of different people in play here to make better deals. And that's another thing, by the way. I think people felt Tarasenko's value was high, but I don't think people were calling on Tarasenko because they knew that he wasn't going to waive the trade clause for them. I think Tarasenko had such a specific list of who he would trade, would cross his list off for, and I'm very curious if he discusses that. I want to hear if he maybe just wants to come to New York, or if he wanted New York. I think he very much wanted New York because he knew that they wanted them. There was a mutual want between them. The fact that you have a mutual want between a player and a team, that's going to just make a better, connection. Tarasenko is what he is. Yes and no, because a guy like McDavid, yes. A guy like Tarasenko, where you sort of the Rangers looked at it and went, man, the Blues are sad right now. What he wants to come to us. Look, we'll give you that first rounder, but we're not giving it to you cleanly. We're going to make it a conditional. We'll give you a conditional fourth rounder, which, by the way, could become a third rounder. And not only that, we'll give you Blayback and a Hunter Skinner, who is an unproven rookie.
I'm gonna challenge this, Jason. You say milk is milk. I say a car is not a car. Okay, there is a difference between a Mercedes-Benz and a Ford and a Chevy. That's why they cost different, because there's an absolute difference in the quality of what you're getting. right? It's not the name; it's the quality of what you're getting. Okay, Richard. Shaggy and Wendy, I'm going to ask you guys to let me and Rich have this for a moment. Rich, you say that you think this is a good trade for both teams, which I absolutely don't. But I want to hear what you have to say, why you think this is a good trade for both teams.
I'll go into the Rangers side of things first to start things off. We all know who Vladimir Tarasenko is. He is a 30-40 goal scorer in his prime. He's going to be slotted on the line with Panarin and Zibanejad. That line is going to be one of the best lines I'm ever going to see. That Rangers team is looking very dangerous for playoffs, and all they gave up was a first-round pick, which they have 2 of, so they still have one. And player who wasn't working out in Sammy Blaze, a prospect who I never heard of, and a 4th-round pick, I believe that last part was.
Yeah. It's going to end up being a 3rd-round pick. It'll end up being a 3rd-round pick. That's
slightly better. But anyways, in exchange for 30-40 goal scorer and a decent defenseman who you can never have more of. So that's how the Rangers win that trade. The Blues win as they needed to retool. I don't think they need a full rebuild, but I think they need to embrace the Thomas Carew era. I don't know how successful that era is going to be. I'm not a big fan of Robert Thomas myself, but they need to embrace that era, one thing or another. And that is a 1st-round pick, a 4th, 3rd-round pick.
Hey, that 1st-round pick, more than likely, is going to be somewhere from 26 or lower. That 1st-round pick is the worst of Dallas or Rangers pick, and there's a good chance that those 2 teams could be in the Final 4.
Very good chance, I agree.
Okay, so you're looking at a 1st-round pick that is 32, 31, 30, or 29. 29 to 30, 32. That's not a guaranteed pick. We got Kostin at 31, and Kostin's a bust. That pick is not a surefire pick. Then let's go to this 3rd-round pick. Less than 25% of 3rd-round picks play a season in the NHL. 54% of them play 1 game, but less than 25% play a season in the NHL. Then you have Skinner, a 4th-round pick in 2019. 5 years ago, he's 21 years old in the ECHL. In the ECHL, not even the AHL. There's a good chance, a solid chance, that those 3 picks, those 3 never play in the NHL. Never play in the NHL. Of everything, you might get Blaze for 32 games. That's it. That's it. So how is that a good trade? Wendy had to go. Sorry about that, guys. How is that a good trade for the Blues that you lost a 40-goal scorer, a very solid defenseman, a future defenseman, a 26-year-old defenseman? The only good thing is he's a UFA, so maybe you resign him for a guy you get to play for 32 games that has 5 points this year. Not even goals, points.
I think Tarasenko, he's a UFA this season. I don't think he resigns in New York. I think New York has enough cap problems. I see this as a pro rental move, so 32 games.
I think they get the deal done by the end of the week, by next week. 10 days. In 10 days, they get that deal done. In 10 days, and you find out that he signs there for less. And he signs for less. His and Panarin's agent is the same agent. What? I didn't hear what you said, Richard.
I said I agree. If Tarasenko does resign, I think New York wins top of the board. There's no doubt about that. I'm looking.
I think they win even if he doesn't sign. Even if he doesn't sign. They still win this deal all the way around. They gave up nothing. They gave up nothing. Blazers played 50 games this year and scored 5 points. That's a tenth of a point every 10 games. Or a point every 10 games. A point every 10 games. That's a tenth of a point per game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they gave up, a tenth of a point per game. And we gave up a guy with 29 points in 39 games.
No.
I'm talking very loudly. I just don't see, Richard, how you can say the Blues got anything good out of this trade. I mean, maybe they get lucky in one of those picks, but I don't see it. Skinner, I think Skinner never makes the NHL.
I think that you can't depend on that Skinner doesn't make the NHL because very possibly the Rangers just liked what they had better in Ben Harper and guys like that to not bring him up, and they like Cully better and stuff like that.
They didn't even bring him up to the AHL, Shaggy.
Look, you're talking about a guy who has 107-mile-an-hour slap shot. He's going to get some time in the NHL. He's going to get some time. He didn't even
get time in the AHL with the 107 mile. If that slap shot is so good, why isn't he in the AHL? They have an AHL affiliate, right?
For the same reason that you believe Bedard's going to be a bust.
Right?
It's for the same reason. If you believe that a guy just has a shot, he won't be successful. So now you know, but he's going to get some time.
Perron wasn't a generational talent, and Perron left on his own. Yeah, he's 21 years old. Most guys that are 21 years old are already in the AHL or on their way into the NHL, not still in the ECHL. Right? How many guys that are 21 in the ECHL make it beyond that? The guy that we traded for Stastny never made it out of the ECHL. He was touted. We traded Stastny for him. We signed him to a contract. I actually do think he made it to the AHL and then quit. Well, they're on a 9-game winning streak. I don't think they bring up Skinner to the AHL. Right? I don't think they bring Skinner up to the AHL. I think they leave him in the ECHL.
I don't think they bring him up. I know personally a lot of prospects in the NHL, and I never heard of Hunter Skinner, so I highly doubt he makes it past the AHL level.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm trying to get at. You know, at 21, this kid should be beyond the AHL already, right? I mean, a kid drafted in 19 with a 105-mile-an-hour slap shot? That right there tells me all I need to know. Here's a guy with a absolute cannon for a shot that's not moved out of the ECHL.
Let me lay this down to you. The Blues did not have a second-round pick for this year's draft because it was in the trade with Nick Leddy. So now you got yourself a pick. Whether or not it's a great pick, you got yourself back a pick.
I think Dallas is focusing more on Patty Kane. I don't think they were ever in Tarasenko. And I think New Jersey is focused on Timo Meier from San Jose. So this was the best offer they were going to get, regardless.
And by the way, I'm just telling you, according to a report, article I just read, Skinner was one of the players that was affected by the OHL shutdown a few years ago because of the pandemic, and it forced him into pro hockey a year earlier than he was supposed to. And he didn't make the adjustment yet. And they believe that not dynamic enough to be a true point production throughout at the NHL level, and average defensively is not a good recipe. But in his early career, people saw a lot of flashes of two-way capabilities to go along with like a good mobility. He's also got a great shot from the point, and he puts himself in great shooting positions as well. And he's a right shot defenseman. He's going to have every opportunity to be able to prove himself, and possibly the fact that he changed where he is going to help him the most. And he started his career in the USHL with the Muskegon Lumberjacks. He went to the Lincoln Stars. He was drafted by the 4th round by the Rangers. He went to the OHL. That got shut down, right? And he made the roster with the United States team and won the gold with them. And I mean, according to this article, I mean, I could send you the article. The Blues heroes should be particularly happy about landing a first-round pick and adding some draft assets amid a season where they're having a hard time staying competitive. The Blues have drafted well of late and having no less than 2 kicks at the can in the first round in a relatively exciting draft year is going to be good for the prospect pool, which has some intriguing pieces in it already. The Rangers were dealing from a position of strength. They had 2 first-round picks at their disposal, and they still had younger players that are ahead of Skinner on their depth chart. So landing 2 veteran players to help them for the stretch run without parting with their prospects was smart. That not to say the Blues did poorly, that they got some pieces, Blaze, whatever, but they didn't do great. But it appears the best case scenario for Skinner is a potential bottom pairing and stuff like that. According to what it seems here, they did well in the fact that they really boosted up their draft class and bringing in somebody with a possible great potential. Okay? That's where they're saying it was good for the Blues. They're saying that the Blues had nothing draft-wise this year. They had 1 draft pick, and that's it. And now you have 2 picks, possibly both first-rounders. Guy, as bad as that seems because it can move to a second-rounder, as bad as that seems, if you're doing a rebuilding and you have 2 first-round picks this year, how bad is that? It's not great. I agree. Everything else is garbage. Everything else is they didn't get back anything.
Why didn't we push for Kakko? Why didn't we push for Kakko or the other guy that you guys thought we were going to give up?
Then what did you give away anything that you feel upset besides for the fact that you like Tarasenko? Did you give away something that actually was going to help you for your future?
Did Mikkola?
No, he wasn't going to help your future. He was not.
26 years old. Solid defenseman.
How old is he?
26.
Yeah, he's 26. Let me explain to you something. I know you like Mikkola. I know you like Tarasenko, but a 26-year-old is not what you're looking for. You're looking for 23, 24. Let me explain to you. You're looking for young guys who's going to be on this team. You're rebuilding.
We got Matt Kessel who's tearing it up.
Great. You got Jake Neighbors, Matt Castle. You got that goalie down there.
Duke. We got Duke. We got Hoffer.
Okay,
we got
you're going to tell
Zibanejad.
me that adding in 2 first-round picks this year and maybe combining those for a higher pick.
Hold on, Richard. You want to say anything? He told me he had to go. I want to see if you had anything you wanted to say at the last minute. Look, guys.
Guy. Let's say you pull up to a team in the top 5 and say, here's pick number 29 and pick number 17, give us your 6th pick. And then you draft somebody that the Blues say is going to be an absolutely for sure, top 6 forward. You're going to tell me that afterwards you didn't
We drafted Clem Costin at number 31. He was the number 1 rated European skater. And he is an absolute bust in the NHL.
And why is that? Because the Blues were not up to that. The Blues weren't up to taking a player and developing him. They were a win team. They had Tarasenko, O'Reilly. I'll give you names left and right of players that they had. They weren't up to taking a rookie and
he couldn't play with any of them.
Why do you think Lafreniere and Kakko have not played ridiculously good? Because the Rangers we're focusing on winning compared to developing. Why are players like Nick Schmaltz and whoever else on the Coyotes, why do they look sometimes really good? Because they're developing their players. They're hoping that we're not going to sign 1 million players. We're going to develop our players. I'm just saying you got yourself possibly 2 first-round picks. Okay? Costin in Edmonton is doing good, but that's only because he's benefiting from the fact that the top 2 lines are ridiculous on that team. So he's benefiting from that. Exactly, Ashy. He's not being utilized. Yeah, I'm telling you, let's look at rookies from this team that have lasted. How many guys right now, Guy, are from the blue system that are in your top 6 or top 4 defensemen?
One.
So, hello.
Parayko's the only one. Everyone else has been. Well, actually, it was 2. It was 2. Now it's 1.
Okay, so Guy, do you know how to develop a player?
Berube doesn't. That's for fucking sure.
Very good. Very good. And that's where Berube is going to get fired, and they're going to bring in a guy who's going to develop and as well be a great effect on O'Reilly. I, in fact, think they don't go through any coach without talking to O'Reilly.
He was talking defenseman, Ashley. Man.
I'm just
We're
saying.
almost at 2 hours, man. I'm almost at 2 hours.
But Guy, you do realize this is a ridiculous trade in this sense. Berube's gonna go, and this proves it. The fact that they let Tarasenko go says that they know what they're up to, and they're gonna fire him.
No, they're not. That's the thing. If they were gonna fire him, you wouldn't let Tarasenko go.
I think
I think it was Tarasenko said Berube or me.
Interesting.
They just signed him to a 3-year deal. They don't want to eat that money. I had 3 different media people tell me the Blues do not want to eat that money and admit that this is a mistake. No, I'm more than that. I did an hour and a half earlier, and I'm almost at 2 hours now, so I'm almost at 3.5 hours. Right? We did an hour and a half earlier.
There's a lot to go into here because there's the Ranger side of things, there's the Blue side of things, and there's the side of things of the in general trade. I mean, Ashley, this is how Guy's gonna get back. Look, there's
right. I did about an hour and a half earlier.
What's the 5 stages of grief? First is denial. First, you told me that the thing wasn't official. Okay, then it was.
No, you're right. Hold on.
Then it's bargaining. You're starting to tell me reasons and this and that. Then we go.
I get what she's saying. Okay, Tammy, you're right. I'm making an assumption that that's what happened. But I also know what I was told about Berube being the problem and them not firing him. I have kept that a secret. I was told something about Berube, about the locker room while I was home on my birthday from somebody I trust. And I haven't said a word about it. That's why I have the suspicion that Tarasenko basically said Berube or me. While you say it's assuming, I say it's a suspicion based on the information I have. And Thomas said that, the message is stale. We don't want to hear it anymore. I brought that up. I thank you, Tammy. Look, guys, I get it. I'm sorry if you thought that all I did was bitch for 2 hours. I apologize. But you know what? This is my show. I get to do what I want. And, I guess that's the way you got to look at it, right, Shags?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes in these type of situations, I remember other trades that the Rangers have made where I went WTF and I remember when Ryan Callahan got traded for Marty St. Louis. And I couldn't stop talking about it for 5 days. I just went straight on rants. And that's what happens. These are the type of trades that hit at home. You know what I mean? It's going to be hard to watch the Blues the rest of the season, Guy. It's going to be hard.
Right. You know I mean? Yeah. But hey, you got to you like my setup?
I love it. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Right? You're making a bonfire?
No, hell no. I had a way to hang this one up, but I don't. I have 7 of these.
What's the one in the back there? Was that the one in the back right behind you? The black and blue one. That's their retro?
No, this is a limited edition that was done. It's gray, actually.
I didn't recognize it.
Yeah, it's a limited edition. It's gray. It was just done in Tarasenko, and I think there are only 1,000 of these made.
What were they made for?
I don't know.
I'm gonna check that up.
It's only in Tarasenko. I haven't seen this in anybody else other than Tarasenko. And then I have this one. I don't know if you can see it, but this one's my signed one.
Yeah.
Got the NHL, you know, the sig. No, I just look. I get the business. I get everything. I just think if you were going to trade Tarasenko, think about this. O'Reilly, we got 5 pieces for. Right? We gave up 5 pieces for. Tarasenko's better than O'Reilly in my book. We should have given, and then we ended up only giving up 2 pieces or 3 pieces. Right? We did not get enough, and that's how I feel about it.
You know what? I still thought you guys were going to get Kravtsov because he's a guy you could plug into your lineup right now. And although he was money, I mean, I thought that they were like, I thought that was a player automatically gone. I was like, okay, fine. So Kravtsov's gone, right? Originally, that's what I thought it was. You know what I mean? Kravtsov is a guy that I thought needed a change of view and would fit with the feistiness of that team. And I don't know why he was. I'm curious if the Blues didn't want him.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, you know what, Shags? I'm at 2 hours, man, and I'm voiced out, guy. I know you came on late, but thanks for coming on and staying with me for a while.
I'm a little, as much as I'm excited, Blue guy, when I discuss this, and I feel excited that the Rangers fleeced them. On the other hand, I keep trying to figure out what went on in that locker room.
Actually, the only good thing that I can say is yesterday I traded Forsberg, the goalie from Ottawa, and a 3rd-round pick next year, or in 24, for Tarasenko.
Ridiculous. Which,
yeah, it wasn't a bad trade, except that Talbot got hurt and he's out for 4 weeks, so Forsberg's now a starting goalie.
But do you know the Senators' schedule?
No.
Let me just quickly check that because they're playing the Oilers, Flames, and Islanders for the next 3 games. I don't see a win in any of those 3 games.
I do. I think Forsberg's better than people give him credit for.
Yeah, but you're playing against the Oilers and Flames.
Oilers just lost to Carter Hart in the
Flyers.
But
that's the first game back. Just wait for McDavid to get their skates back on. The Oilers are 28-18-4 compared to the Senators, who are 1 game over 500 at 24-23-3. Flames are 24-17. Islanders are 25-22. Then they get off with the Blackhawks, and then you get to face the Blues and Bruins. They don't have an easy schedule. I'm sorry. I know that and by the way, in their past couple games, they gave up 4 goals to the Canadians. Okay, and then they gave up. Then they did pretty well against some other good teams.
Yeah.
He has his great games and his okay games. I think Forsberg is a future top 5 player.
Yeah, he's got it. And, it could be the future. Hopefully with this, the future is now.
Yeah. And by the way, the surprise, I will not, at this point, I think Greiss is gone.
Yeah, I think Greiss is gone too, to be honest with you.
Gone. Because this shows
and then Hoffer comes up.
Yeah, no, he's coming up. They got to see what they have in their future.
Hey, Shaggy, I got a favor to ask, bud.
All right.
Right? I don't know what your contacts are, but get with your contacts. Let's see if we can get me a Rangers sponsor to send me to the game on the 6th of April.
I have to see who I got.
Right?
The 6th of April. I mean, tickets there should be quite cheap.
That's not you got to remember, I live in Hawaii.
Right.
It's a minimum of $1,000 for me to get there. Plus, I need a rental car, hotel for a couple days, all that stuff. So, you're looking at $2,000 easily. And I'm not sitting up high. I'm sitting down low for this one. And then I'm trying to do my show. So,
I'll see. I know the only guy that might be able to. I don't think he would even give me for that game, especially because it's Tarasenko.
So hold on, I got Tony Aikman who disagrees with me, obviously, for almost nothing. Mikkola and Skinner are identical players. Mikkola has played a bunch of games in the NHL. Skinner hasn't even seen the OHL yet or the AHL yet. Hasn't even seen the next level below. NHL. He's been playing 2 levels below that. right? So a third or fourth pick and a first plus Blaze for Tarasenko, who had only 3 teams he'd be willing to waive for his no trade clause. Basically, we traded Butch and a 2022 second round for Tarasenko and a first round pick and a third, fourth pick. I don't think so. He wasn't going to sign with us in the offseason, so the fact that we got a first round surprised me. Oh, we were getting a first round no matter what. Tarasenko was worth the first round, right? I think that you're overvaluing those picks, and I definitely know you're overvaluing Skinner, and I might be undervaluing him. I admit that. But for me right now, I don't think he did, Ash. I mean, great. It's a great point, but I don't think he did. I think that he's overvaluing Skinner, and I think he's overvaluing those picks. I really do. And actually, Mikkola and Blaze are the worst. Mikkola and Blaze, both NHL talents, they're both UFAs, and they both have about the same cap hit. That's the worst. So you got Tarasenko for a first, a third, because, the Rangers are making the playoffs. A first, a third, and
I sent you a article that I think you would like.
Okay, I'll check it out later. Shag, thanks so much, man. I'm voiced out. I'm voiced out, bud.
You know what? We're gonna talk another time. I'm interested to see
tomorrow, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 your time.
Oof, I'm gonna be sweating.
Right? I try and be on. I'm gonna be on, and then we'll be on for Saturday's game against the Blackhawks.
All right.
Suck hard for Bedard sweepstakes. Yep. Okay, guys, this is Guy the Why Blues fan and Shaggy, the New York Rangers Tarasenko fan now, saying aloha mahalo, and you got to know that in some way we're bleeding blue with you. Aloha.